I really, really love that you brought up the whole android situation, the whole humanoid robots, as they're called, because these robots are going to join us in our societies, and they're going to be so good at stuff that it's really going to be a bit of a mirror to the rest of us.
Mike, this is such a thrill because I've been watching your videos for years and I don't know how you got into my algorithm, but I'm so glad that you did because you're this rare combination of someone who looks like he could bench press a Honda while also being a legit exercise scientist. I mean, you are super smart, you're wildly articulate, and you love to talk shit, which might be my favorite thing about you. But you really make complicated and boring things sound fun. So I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
It's awesome to be here, Christine. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks. For those who don't know, you're a PhD, you're a professional bodybuilder, black belt in
Not a
jujitsu.
professional.
You're not
No,
formally professional?
no, never
Um,
professional.
what would you call that then? Because you've competed very seriously in some fashion.
Competitive bodybuilder.
Competitive bodybuilder. Thank
Mhm.
you. And you've also authored so many papers and books. You've obviously dedicated a huge part of your life to fitness. Was this the dream growing up?
No, not even close. I didn't really have any dreams growing up. I had no idea what I was going to do when I grew up. Um, this is all real news to me. So I just, depending on when you caught me at what part of childhood, I would have had a different idea of who I was going to be when I grew up. It never at any point in time did I think it was going to be this.
When do you, and I'd like to get back to your childhood, but when did it become this?
Um, so I got my PhD in like 2013, and I also competed for the first time in bodybuilding in 2013. And in 2013, I had started 2012, 2013, I had started posting in earnest on social media and started getting a little bit of a following. And so I guess 2013 was really when all of this formally kicked off. And then in 2020, we started the YouTube channel. And in 2024, 2023, the YouTube channel started really kicking off. So
10 years.
that's kind of how it's been progression wise. Yeah.
Um, where are you from?
I was born in Moscow, Russia,
Amazing.
actually. Yeah. It was a fine place, but communism doesn't work. So we left.
Agreed.
And then we moved to the Metro Detroit area where I grew up and where I now live again.
So you have immigrant parents. I'm from an immigrant family as well. And there's
Oh,
usually
cool.
mine's from the Middle East, from
Cool.
Iran.
Whereabouts?
My
Did you
parents
say
and
from Iran?
yeah, my parents and my brother were all born in Tehran. My brother specifically during the revolution, and we're not Muslim, so we got out very quickly, and they reached Canada, and I was born in Toronto.
Whoa,
Yeah.
cool. That's intense.
It was for them. I don't have, obviously, when I came around, they, were established and all of that. But I feel like with immigrant families from the East, and it doesn't matter how far east you have to go, there's this expectation that you're going to become an engineer or a doctor. Academics are really valued. So I'm not surprised at all that you have a PhD. But I do
Yeah.
wonder, are your parents this passionate about exercise? Is your mom jacked?
No, no, not even close. No, my parents don't lift weights. Um, they're healthy. They're in their 70s. They walk a lot. They walk often. They do some kind of physical movement. They eat very healthy and they're of relatively normal body weight and
Yeah.
have been for their whole lives. But they're not into getting jacked or lifting or taking supplements or any of that sort of thing.
Do they understand what you're doing? Like, do they understand the vision you have for your own aesthetic?
No, no. Maybe they understand, but they don't care. They don't think I'm prioritizing my life properly. They think I should be stopping the hard training and supplement use and having a family with many children. That's their plan for me. And as Eastern parents, they're very open about that being the
Oh
plan
yeah.
for me. They just, you know how it is. They tell you what they want. They don't like hint at
Yeah.
it.
Do you have a sibling to take the edge off or the focus off of you, or it's just you?
No, I have a sibling, my older sister Sonia. She's amazing. I don't know if she quite takes the edge off as much as she engages in mutual warfare with my parents about their various ideas for who she should be. And so it's always a push and pull there. But her and I are like we're on the same team together all the
Yeah.
time in that regard.
Um, and I know your wife is also a fitness professional, also very accomplished academically, PhD, Dr. Crystal. Um,
Ex-wife,
no. Really?
way,
Oh my
way.
goodness, I
Yeah,
wasn't aware of that.
yeah.
Is that
Not
a
many people are.
is that a new development?
Yeah, as of the separation in September,
Oh, so it's been almost a year.
I guess. Yeah,
Is that something you want to talk about?
not particularly.
No?
I'm fine
Okay.
to talk about it, but it would be not a very nice thing to do without her consent about everything I'm going to
Understood.
say. Yeah,
Totally understood. In these situations, I never know if I should congratulate a person on ending something that didn't work out
sure.
or
Yeah, or
or give my
condolences. Or,
condolences.
right. Yeah.
Um, you
It's
know,
probably for the best for us both. It's very, very painful.
yeah.
And it's very amicable, but yeah, it sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. You guys are both so highly rational people though that I feel like if ever there were two people who could say this is the math on this and the math is not mathing,
Yeah, maybe.
then
Maybe.
all the best.
Yeah.
Um, well, that changes my line of questioning a little bit. Let me catch up.
Sure.
In terms of, I'll get into the book in a moment, and I really loved it, and there's a lot about it that I loved. But but the thing that kind of stood out to me reading was, you are so fit, you are objectively jacked, and still sculpting, and you talk about I don't want to say dieting, but like proper eating and exercise and fat loss and muscle gain in a way where it's like you should want to do it because you're chiseling yourself, you're creating your own masterpiece. What what is that destination for you? Do you think you'll ever get to a place when you're like, I'm done? This is my masterpiece.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I have a relatively clear goal of what I'd like. Um, and if I can get there and somehow we have the genetic engineering to keep me there, I will no longer engage in the pursuit of a better physique. I will engage in the pursuit of probably other physical hobbies and qualities that I tend to. So yeah, I have a pretty clear vision for my body. Visions change over time, but
Yeah.
I definitely know some things I for sure want my body to look like, and some things that would be cool but aren't up my alley anymore, and some things that I never wanted. So yeah, I have pretty distinct vision for my body. Yeah.
And are those goals that you have in terms of like measurements, like how do you quantify your goal? Like, is it just something you're going to see in the mirror and say, that's it? Or,
Yeah, much more the latter. Measurements would be concomitant, but there is a range of measurements that are totally fine. And it's one of those things where you can have an idea about what measurements you like, but when you see for real your actual look, then you can be like, oh, okay, this is the look. Or you can say, ooh, it's not quite there. I actually thought this would look a little different. Maybe I'm going to change my aesthetic a little bit.
when you look in the mirror, do you trust yourself to see reality?
Absolutely. It's my job.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
It's,
appraise my physique in any number of ways. I can do the whole spectrum of negative appraisal, neutral appraisal, all the way up to positive appraisal. I can navigate that, I think, highly objectively. I know a lot of people can't do that, but I have a knack for very few things. One of them is to see objective reality pretty plainly. typical delusional statement from a delusional person, no doubt. But I just think I happen to be like I very much understand. Like I could right now tell you everything that's wrong and right with my body, and it would, I think a variety of my detractors would have to agree with it. So it's like a real thing. Yeah.
To what level does it bother you on the daily that you're not there yet?
I try to let it not bother me at all.
Yeah.
I try to let it be I try to let the body be something I love, but it's a work in progress. It's like someone treats their really awesome exotic sports car. They're
Yeah.
like always trying to like improve it and give it new like microchips to go faster and upgrade the engine and get new tires. But even the base model they loved when they saw it at the dealership and they had to have it. And so I try to have that perspective. We all have our good days and our bad days. And sometimes on my bad days, I'm really not a big fan of some parts of my body. And I'm really kind of like, damn it, why is this still a reality? Whereas other days, depending on my mood and often depending on the actual look, I'm like, holy crap, I am a superhero cyborg machine, and this is amazing. My body's great. And so it's a little bit of in between kind of situation for sure. And I don't love that. I wish I could just love my body. But there are objective things about my body that aren't great, that nobody likes, me included. And so for me, it's quite easy to label them and be like, I don't love that. But there's a difference between not liking parts of your body versus like letting that haunt you versus letting it reflect like you hate your whole body. I sure shit don't hate my whole body. No way. Some parts of my body are I think, just awesome. And some parts I'm like, yeah, that's lame. I wish it wasn't like that.
Where were you at in 2013 in terms of your headspace and your self-acceptance when you decided, you know what, I'm going to get into bodybuilding. I want to do this. I want to do it intensely. I want to compete.
About the same place I am now. I thought my body was already pretty swell and I wanted to make it look even cooler. And competitive bodybuilding is really just like something I think that people do for a variety of reasons. The reason I'm doing competitive bodybuilding is because there's a challenge to getting everything to go right to look your very, very, very best, and to get to that standard. Because you can have all sorts of ideas about how you look, but if you beat other people that look amazing and the judges say you look the best, it's a very special thing. It really aligns what you think you know about how to alter your physique to the reality. Like if you think you can work on cars and make them go really fast, you need to be working in a formula car to see if you can make the car that the world champion drives. And then you really for sure know you make cars that go real fast.
So do you naturally just have phenomenal muscle tone? Because I no.
Sorry, please finish your question. I didn't mean to
Well, I
cut
was
you
just
off.
thinking, I think it was in Pumping Iron, and Schwarzenegger was saying he went to this movie, he saw this action figure actor, and he's like, you know, I know I can do that. I can get there. Like I have that disposition, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. I've never had much of that. Um, I've never had a whole lot of instances in my life where I was supremely confident before the fact that I could do a thing. I never, I wouldn't typify my psychology as one of self-belief, so much so that at times I think self-belief is overrated. Like the way you have success is you just do the various logical things that create the outcome that makes you successful. Whether or not you believed in yourself at the time is secondary or tertiary to whether or not that outcome occurs. In things like sport, like live sport, like before you fight someone or before you lift a big weight, believing in yourself is really mandatory pretty much because it unlocks your fullest abilities. But if you're working on a long-term project and you're still doing diligent, intelligent work, believing that you'll succeed is not 100% required. You just, to me, all I ever needed was a belief that I can become marginally better tomorrow or the day after, or the week after, or the month after. And I do believe that. If I didn't think I could improve, I'd almost certainly stop exercising like I do now and pick some other hobby. And so the week to week, month to month, year to year improvement is the only reason I'm in the game. And that I do believe is possible for me. but eventualities, goals on the horizon of what I want to look like, do I believe I can get there? With the aesthetic revolution unfolding as it is, and eventually the kind of maturation of genetic engineering and advanced surgery, yes. Short of that, for sure, no. Yeah, I never really, like when I started lifting weights, I had no idea if I was going to get very strong. I had no idea if I was going to get very muscular. I just knew, like, I'm going to try to gain like 20 pounds this year and I'm going to see if I get stronger. And it just kept working. And so I kept fiddling with it to get it to work better. That's about it. It's very uninspiring. If I was listening to this, I'd be like, oh, there's a lot of people have this like prescience. They have this understanding, this massive self-belief. They knew they were destined for greatness. I never really thought I was destined for greatness. My relative greatness, whatever bullshit YouTube accomplishments I have, are more of a surprise to me than they are to most people.
That's interesting to hear. I'm not sure I totally buy that about you because even when you say I'm going to start working out, I'm going to put on 20 pounds of muscle this year, that's ambitious. That is a vision
Never
for
said
yourself.
muscle, just said weight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can put on 20 pounds just by eating more. Almost everyone can do it. It was rather ambitious, but I did it over and over. I did it once, then I did it again, then I did it again. I was like, oh, I can gain weight whenever I want. The muscle, not up to me. That's up to genetics and training and all this other stuff.
Okay, so you're more Spock than Captain Kirk is what we've decided right now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Speaking of sci-fi, near sci-fi, near future, um, thank you for letting me read your upcoming book, The Aesthetic Revolution.
Don't thank me for that. Thank you for reading it
I devoured it. What made you write this?
because it's happening and someone has to talk about it. A lot of times, what brings me to write books or to give podcast lectures or in any way try to disseminate information is sort of one of two things. One is like there's this thing that a lot of people consider mysterious, but I consider like we actually know a lot about it and we can just all together not be so confused. So someone's got to say something. That's why I wrote the Renaissance Diet 2.0, Scientific Principles of Hypertrophy Training, Scientific Principles of Strength Training books, is because I was like, we just kind of know this stuff. Just somebody should put it on a book so that people can be confused less. And the other thing that drives me a lot of the time to make content is I can see that the future is headed in like more than less predictable ways. Like if I was an adult in the late 1990s, I probably would have been telling everyone that the internet is about to change the world.
Yeah.
I would have been correct. Right now, I tell people that AI and advanced biotech is going to be changing the world. I think I'm probably correct. And what I'm doing with the aesthetic revolution is I'm combining two things that I think are just massively predictive together. One is the human desire to be more beautiful. And two is biotech and AI's ability to make us incredible surgical techniques, incredible medicines, incredible age reversal, and incredible genetic engineering. One of those, the human desire for beauty and its strength, I just don't think anyone really debates. Like the way you have a market is you have a demand and you have a supply. The demand to become more beautiful at great cost is absolutely there. I mean, this is right up your ancestry. What fraction of Persian women don't care about their appearance? Have you ever met a Persian woman that doesn't care about her appearance?
I
Another
think
way to ask is any woman.
any woman.
How much money would a Los Angeles successful Persian woman spend on her appearance if she made more money? The answer is like, just give me the money and shut up because I'm going to spend it on my appearance. And Persians, to your point, are not so unique. Like they have a real sassy way of doing it, which is dope. But like, my God, a lot of people care about their appearance. That's the demand side. And the supply side is like advanced surgery, advanced drugs, advanced training and diet practices, and all kinds of crazy biotech is inevitable. It's already happening. And if I just combined those two, and the prediction that comes out is the aesthetic revolution, which means in about 15 years, everyone's pretty much going to look like how they want because that's what people want. Imagine that you told somebody in 1900 Like, hey, in the year 2000, in modern countries, everyone's just kind of going to be able to eat whatever they want. They'd be like, that's insane. Where are they going to get all that food? Like, you're telling me I could just like get up from my house and just go have lobster? Like, yeah, oh yeah, easy. We're like, what? That's nuts. And they would wave you off. But we have a almost complete unity of supply and demand in food today. Like you just go to the grocery store, and if you had tried one new food every day, you would never get through all the new foods. So just invent them faster than you can try them. And so if you look at it from the perspective of cosmetics, of surgery, of biotech, fat loss drugs, muscle gain drugs, all this other stuff, what is the supply side? It's growing like crazy. What's the demand side? I mean, my God, like how much will women spend to make themselves look more beautiful? Let me ask you another question really quick. Um, Christine, how many women in their 40s and 50s would drain their fortunes to look like they were in their 20s again?
It's not as obvious as you would think because I have just speaking for myself. I know it's easy to put me in the box of LA Persian woman. I'm actually, my parents always refer to themselves as Persian, me as Canadian, because I
Oh,
really didn't
Lord.
subscribe to the culture.
Uh-huh.
And I resist speaking in Farsi. And I married a German.
Whoa.
It's not a very female friendly culture to begin with, but putting that aside for a moment, I grew up with parents who always insisted on like going the natural way, finding focus on your natural beauty, natural foods, natural everything. My mother is an artist,
Okay.
and her standard for beauty was looking good means looking good naked.
All
Um, so,
right.
so
Go,
to
mom.
take a chapter from your book, so there's a reality to that, and she always talks about how disarming beauty is. You know that when we're in the presence of it, it's like we lose ourselves. However, would I drain my account to look like I did in my 20s? I don't want to be who I was in
Well,
my
aren't you in your,
20s.
how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay. You're just Persian, so you're born perfect and don't age. Got it.
You're too kind. I feel like I'm 140. I have a 6 month old and a 3.5 year old, and I'm pursuing two
Oh,
careers at the same time.
okay. Yes, that makes
You
sense.
know what it is? My resolution is low on the screen. But all to say, I'm stronger now than I was in my 20s. I did a stupid amount of cardio in my 20s because that's what we were told. You want to look good, you get thin, you get
Yep.
skinny and scrawny. And I was a child in the 90s, so really it was the early 2000s that I started to kind of care about what I look like to the opposite sex. And it was all the wrong advice. So now I feel like my definition of aesthetic for myself has changed. And although I'd like to lose 15 pounds of fat and enjoy the muscle that I've built, that's that's really where would I drain my account for that? Yeah, I'd like to make that happen. But as you say in the book, if you want to lose the weight, just stick to the diet, which has
Yes.
been hard to do.
And I'm not advocating that people drain their accounts to look their best, but I think that the fraction and number of people that are willing to spend an unreal amount of money
Yes.
to enhance their appearance is high. I think it's very, very high. And so when biotech companies try to figure out, okay, if we make this like skin rejuvenation cream that you apply once a year and it makes your skin look like you're in your early 20s again, are we going to make any money off of that? It's not really a question. The answer is like, how fast can we get it approved and how many trillions can we make off of this thing? That's the big thing about the aesthetic revolution.
It is very tempting to embrace all of these options and everything that you lay out in the book that is on the forefront. And what I love so much about the book is that you start from the very beginning. You start from the very basics of this is food, this is exercise, this is metabolism, and then you slowly ramp until it gets like I don't want to say crazy, but
Crazy. You can say
sci-fi.
crazy.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
crazy.
sci-fi. Yeah.
It
That's
gets
nice. I'll use sci-fi from now on.
And full disclosure, I've had LASIK, speaking of enhancements. And my
Oh,
only regret is that I didn't do it 10 years earlier because it's
right.
life changing.
Yeah.
So when you apply that logic to beauty and longevity, yes, of course, why not? However, these things can be cost prohibitive. Also, the risks. It's
There are
scary.
risks.
The risks.
Scary. The risks are real. That's one of my dichotomies is that I'm super pro surgery for people that want to get it to alter their physique, but I'm also super public about the insane risks. And some people can't really put me in a box. They're like, "Are you pro or anti?" And I'm like, "I'm pro with the caveats of this could kill you." And, like same as skydiving and, like water skiing and stuff. You can croak doing all that stuff, but it's fun. People do it. People have outcomes that they're chasing. So I think it's really important to understand how much people want some of these transformational procedures, and also important to give people as much support as possible in recognizing that like there are parts of these things that are very serious, require very serious consideration. You don't want to be doing any of this stuff on a whim, that's for sure.
To go back to the economics of beauty, you were talking about supply and demand. If everyone is beautiful, what is it worth?
A ton. Um, Everyone being beautiful, to your point that I think you're insinuating, which is valid, means that beauty isn't worth as much as it used to be. Because if everyone's beautiful, then you don't have a marginal advantage over other people anymore, so to speak. Whereas if you were ultra beautiful and everyone else was the normal distribution, and some people were not that great looking, some people were quite awful looking, you were special. But there used to be all kinds of stuff that only the elite could get that now everyone gets. So to have like someone to whom administers systematized medical care to you in the 1800s meant you were a king. In today's world means you go to the hospital. No one's turned away at the hospital in America or the modern world. Like if you're sick, they're going to see you one way or the other. And so with beauty, the way I see it is when everyone is beautiful, the not dark side, but the oh gee whiz part of it is going to be like, yeah, it's not going to be as special anymore. But I think almost all of us want to live in a world in which almost all of us are beautiful. Just the same way we want to live in a world where everyone has access to medical care. I mean, can you imagine being a rich person back in the 1800s and someone's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if the poor people also had access to doctors? You'd be like, oh, how gauche, darling. The poor, disgusting. How am I supposed to maintain my excellence around that when everyone gets medical care? It's gross to say out loud. But there are people who low key were promised romance, they were promised attention. Here's my emotional spiel time. Let me know when you want me to shut the hell up
Keep
because
talking.
this one.
Keep
All
talking.
right. When you're a 5-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl, you grew up in Canada, you grew up in America, you grew up in Europe in an almost identical media environment. These are books that your grandparents read to you. They're Disney cassette tapes you pop into your VCR. They are TiVo recordings. They're DVDs. They're YouTube videos. And they are movies on the Hallmark Channel. And all of this media, from princesses all the way to busy career moms on in Lifetime Channel, and then the store clerk who's new is ultra hot, 6'3" muscle man, silent partner billionaire. And you get this idea as a little girl that there will be a man of your dreams, that he will like you back, that you will have rom-com crush and you'll hold hands and walk into the sunset. And if you're attractive generally your whole life, that is true. It really does happen to you. People give you attention, they have crushes on you. The rom-com situation is something you play out all the time. So much so that you can relate to some movie plots. You're like, yeah, I've lived that one before. Turns out people you meet at carnivals, they're not always cool, but other than that, they got it right. If you are substantially less attractive than average, as a male or female, When you're a little kid, you don't know any better. You watch all the same movies. And then as your life unfolds, you become to painfully realize that some things are not for you. Just like if you're a little kid in India and you grow up about palaces, reading about palaces and wealthy people, but it turns out you're in the wrong caste for that sort of thing. You at some point realize, like, oh, we live in a shithole. I'm not going to have a castle. Just the same way as a girl who's 7 and then 10 and then 12 and then 15 realizes at some point, oh, I don't look like that guys want to talk to me and date me. Those girls grow up and they're usually just massively successful in every way that they can think. But they were robbed of something. And if and when they get age reversed and alter their facial features to look like the best version of themselves, as far as they judge it, not other people, they're going to receive a stream of attention that is endless relative to where they came from. It is going to heal them deeply because it is receiving the thing that you felt culturally entitled to but never got. So to me, is it a little sad that Kim Kardashian isn't like the prettiest woman in the world, but is now one of 3 billion, roughly equally, just different looking pretty people? It's sad for sure. Just like if everyone was a trillionaire tomorrow and poor old Jeff Bezos didn't feel as special anymore. But I like a world in which everyone's a trillionaire, and I love a world in which everyone looks like they want. So they don't have to hide their look. They don't have to be embarrassed. I mean, imagine this. I have this. I think this is a scenario from the book itself. Imagine you get set up on a date, a blind date with someone, and your friends love you, right? They know how cool you are, but Christine, you don't look like you. You look like alternate version of you, not good looking version, overweight version. You're smart though. What do you do when you're choosing outfits for the date? You go through outfit, outfit, outfit in the mirror. What looks good? Nothing looks good. You know you don't look good. You're incapable of looking good. How do you present the date? How many dates have you been on? Because your friends are awesome. They always set you up on blind dates. When you walk in and the guy, you walk in and he's sitting there, or you're sitting there, he walks in and you watch his face turn from hopefulness into, Christine, what's a good way to, oh, however you summarize that facial oh,
Disappointment.
disappointment is a very awesome way of saying it, but there's more texture to it than just disappointment. It's a specific kind of disappointment. It's a disappointment you both know is happening. I fucking hate every part of that. It's awful because the humans that we are on the inside are so much more important than what we are on the outside. And so many people will only ever be judged by their covers and never by the text inside of their books. And what I'm saying with the aesthetic revolution, real quick, I promise I'm done,
Don't be quick.
is I'm offering someone the information that there exists a service to rebind your book. The inside of your book is going to remain unaltered, but we're going to give you the best fucking hardcover you have ever seen. It's going to be the hardcover you want. And so now, instead of people looking at your book and being like, ugh, they're going to look at your book and be like, whoa, that's interesting. And give you not a better chance than anyone else, but the same chance as everyone else to be seen as a human being and not as an ugly person. And that's a real thing in the world.
Two questions. Um, is this your story growing up in Detroit?
No, that's the crazy part. That's the shit people always ask me. Like, so first of all, I never really cared about my look much. I would have done a lot more about it had I cared about how I look for beauty purposes. Second of all, when I was growing up, I was like a pretty good looking kid. And so I never like felt super ugly. I had my moments, we all do, but it wasn't like this pervasive thing. This is the story of people that I watched go through this. And even though I'm a total asshole in many regards, I have a massive empathetic streak. And I can't watch some terrible thing happen that's very subtle, and we all just kind of bob our heads and go, well, that's okay. That's just the way the world works. Actually, this is in the book. Um, my grandmother was born with a skin condition that made her basically look like Two-Face from Batman. And I mean really like that. Like half of her body was red down the middle, splotchy.
Wow.
And she was born with this. And my parents told me stories about how when she was 4 years old, I'm going to see if I can get through this without tearing up. She was 4 years old and she's playing in the playground by herself. She wants to play with other children. They don't play with her because she's a freak. How does it feel to be a 4 year old and to be shunned from the day that you're born and to see only people shun you your entire life? That's fucking tragic. And if we have some genetic editing cream that she could have, she's not with us anymore. If she could have, there's some kid out there with that disease. If they get some cream that edits your genome and 3 days later they wake up and they look like their skin matches, one half matches the rest, their life's going to go in a totally different direction. That's that to me. I've seen, I've been put on dates before, blind dates, where I show up and the girl opposite to me on the date is morbidly obese. What am I supposed to do about that, Christine? I can fake a good date. I'm a great actor.
Yeah.
That is such a discourteous thing to do to a human soul. You're getting their hopes up. And what am I supposed to say? Like, hey, sorry, obviously, duh. There's no winning there. There's only one way to fix that problem. It is to get that person into the body they want to be in. Period. All the cope, all the fat acceptance in the world isn't going to do shit because that person goes home at the end of the day, looks at their body and goes, fuck all of this. That's what the aesthetic revolution is about helping real human beings look how they want. Not my idea of how they want to look. Good God, if I got to design people, they would all look like cyborgs. You ever see the shape of my head? I love the shape of my head. It's not exactly a human look, but that's not for me to decide. It's for people to decide themselves how they want to look.
I agree. There is no better feeling than feeling good in your skin. It's priceless, and it is underestimated. But when it comes to changing it, especially living in Los Angeles, I am starting to see the same face over and over and over again. And I'm seeing it in young women. I'm seeing it in teens and 20-year-old women who have had so much done already before they even know, before everything even settles, on the
Yeah,
other side of puberty. And and there has been a lot of talk kind of starting to rise about like, is a generation of beauty just wiping itself out under the promise of this is what beautiful looks like now?
that is a great question. So I had this experience recently in Miami. I was in Miami for
Yeah.
work. And I was like, what's with all the Kardashian clones?
Yeah.
There's like every Latina with a little bit of money is like, oh, I could just look like Kim Kardashian, like in 3 days or whatever. I get the facial stuff done, I got the fake glutes, and I'm good to go. And I'm of two minds about this. On the one hand, I think everyone kind of trying to look the same, to your point, is like that there's so many different kinds of beauty. And do we really all want to look identical? That's kind of fucking weird. So on the one hand, 100%. On the other hand, I think a lot of these women really want to look like that because they think that's actually really pretty. If you look at how all the Disney princesses look, I mean, there's like how many Disney princesses? Like 12, 15 of them. There's Jasmine. There's like that girl from the bow and arrow shooting redhead Scottish girl. I forget that
Yeah.
fucking what that
I didn't
movie was
watch that
called.
one.
Yeah. Um,
Brave?
and everything in between. But they all look real similar, though. They don't look identical. And so I think that in the LA Miami culture, especially if you're a woman who has dark hair, and what my friend Jared and I call mystery eyes, like dark eyes and all mysterious and shit. I think like the Kardashian cluster is where you just kind of move towards. I think some of that happens because just culturally it's reinforced. But I think a lot of it happens because actually, like legit, like a lot of women actually want to look like that. You could say, like, in male culture, a lot of men trend towards being a bodybuilder. And they all end up kind of looking the same, right? Big shoulders, big arms, blah. But like almost all the men I've ever talked to who are involved in bodybuilding, they don't give a fuck how anyone else looks. They just all want to look like that independently. And they all just kind of drift to the same place. So I just hope there's a way that women who are choosing to have plastic surgery are thinking through, like, how do I look like the best version of myself versus the best version of somebody else? I'll say this, I have had plastic surgery, clearly not on my face, otherwise fire that person. And surgeons are, they care about two things. Well, they care about one thing, that you like the look. That the only thing that matters to them is that you like the look. That's how the referral system works. But they come from two different minds of this. One is they want to build you whatever kind of, let's say, face that you will like. Surgeons have a dark secret. Their secret is that they've done sometimes thousands of procedures, and they know which procedures the people came back afterwards and said, actually, I want you to change this. And so, what you get from a lot of surgeons on breast augmentation, on facial augmentation, on every kind of augmentation is kind of a little spiel. The spiel is like, you say you want this, and I totally hear you. You just say the word, and we'll give you what you say you want. But from my experience, about 98% of people, when they say they want this, they come back and say they want that other thing instead. So let me tell you about this other thing that we do. You're going to take a nice long look at it. And if you really still want what you said or somewhere in between, you let me know. But almost everyone trends right back to this thing. And then they show you a picture of Kim Kardashian's face. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. Like a lot of times, women will ask for small breast implants. I don't know if it's part being coy or you just don't want to be that girl with the jahangas everywhere that everyone like only ever stares at your titties and can't look at your face. It's a weird look. It's not for everyone to have big titties. And not that anyone gave a shit, but I think small titties are like the cream of the crop, the most gorgeous things in the world. Small titties times 10 for me all day. But surgeons look at thousands of patients. And almost every plastic surgeon will tell you, depending on what size you pick, obviously, if you're like, I want Fs, they're like, holy shit, okay, really? But a lot of women will be like, I want Bs, like I want like a small B. And the surgeons tell almost the same thing every time. They say, I recommend a small C
Mhm.
because every woman except for one ever that got a small B came back and wanted it bigger. That's a valuable insight. So I think surgeons, like almost every surgeon I've ever like met pretty much, and I've met a bunch, they don't really try to push their own values of beauty. They're just trying to reflect what general aesthetic principles are because they see a shitload of people. And at some point, it looks like the universals of beauty are maybe much more tight than we would like to believe. Take
Yeah,
that for what it is.
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that there are certain archetypes that both genders lean towards, and it's almost like the hyper feminized version of like an extreme hourglass or the
Yep.
the extreme male physique.
Yep.
And we all
The
want to get
Dorito
us,
chip. Yeah.
pardon me,
The Dorito chip, the
the
triangle.
Dorito chip.
Yeah.
And I think we all aspire to get as close to that, to be the best for as close as we can get to that extreme. I think might just be human nature. But in terms of the breast implant game, for instance, it's like I have a lot of girlfriends who are smaller and they don't say if they're going to get it, they talk about when they're going to get it. Then I have other girlfriends who are getting them removed because, they've had some issue going on in their health that they couldn't explain for years. And it all comes back to that implant in some way,
Okay.
shape, or form, some mystery
Okay.
illness. And it's like, is that healthy? Like, shouldn't we have enough data on that by now to know, should we still be doing that? Okay, it's not silicone, it's saline. No, it's not textured, it's smooth. Yeah, I guess we're kind of figuring out the version of that works, but it seems like none of these enhancements are without a price to be paid financially or otherwise.
Yeah. The price is declining financially and declining in health risk all the time, but neither price is zero yet for
Yeah.
sure. And people have to be very acutely aware of the fact that they're not just drawing in crayon on themselves. This is like you're getting cut into pieces, and hopefully the pieces fit afterwards. Surgery is with its risks. And one of the number one things that surgeons do is the same thing lawyers do. They don't ever promise you anything because that's how you get screwed.
Yeah.
So they'll say, this is what our goal is. We'll see how it works. I think some people forget that when they go through surgery. They want everything to be ideal. That's probably the worst mentality you could have for surgery. Is thinking you're going to be pristine and perfect. I would just say if you're getting surgery, you'll be like, I'll probably look better than I do now. And that's almost certainly going to be the case. And then you'll probably be really pleasantly surprised. I had surgery to remove my love handles and lower back skin and fat. And
It looks good.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
The results to me now are serene. It's sublime. I think it's a
Yeah.
miracle. Now, there could have been a way that that went that was not so sublime, and I would have had a different opinion.
You clearly did a tremendous amount of research for this book. Was there anything that you came across that really surprised you?
Tons of stuff. One thing that is humans tend to think in sequences. First this happens, then that happens in an orderly manner. One of the things that stuck out to me as I was writing the book was I made a sequence. It was drugs, then it was age reversal, then it was genetic engineering. Drugs that increase your muscle mass, decrease your fat mass. Then it was age reversal. And then it was so basically like everyone goes back to being like at first a few years, then later more. And then later everyone kind of stabilizes at like physiologically 22 years old for forever. And then the idea is after that. So, like, the drugs was supposed to happen in the late 2020s. Age reversal was supposed to happen in the early 2030s. And in the late 2030s, by my bullshit back in the envelope calculations, genetic engineering was supposed to happen. And I had all sorts of reasons for thinking that this was the case, but mostly was because these things all of incrementally more and more power to change physiques and beauties. So like if you have drugs that like just zap body fat and make you muscular and drugs even that clean up your facial features, that they're not underlying under the hood doing as much cosmetic benefit as reversing your age to 22, but man, they're really powerful. Then you get age reversal, and that's like, holy shit, is that a big deal? I mean, imagine people with all these muscle drugs and fat loss drugs, but they have the physical body of a 22-year-old. My God, like we're all going to be fucking angels at that point. And then not literally having sex with angels, I want to be clear.
Do what you
um,
gotta do.
Though really, if we're all angels and we're having sex with each other, yes, we are fucking angels. Anyway, um, and then genetic engineering is really like, if you really think deeply about what genetic engineering could do in the future, I mean, it's just carte blanche. Like you could have whatever body you want. Like you could be taller, shorter, wider, narrower. You could face could look like whatever. It's all genetics that makes it look like that to begin with. And what I'm realizing, what I started to realize when I was writing the book was these things are going to come in out of order. So the first human trial for age reversal is already happening now. But we don't even have a drug in trials that's oral that grows your muscle a ton. It doesn't exist. And so I'm like, what the hell is going on? And genetic engineering is a trip because so you know about Ozempic, right?
Yes.
Like semaglutide, et cetera. It acts on the GLP-1 receptor. There is already a trial right now. There's many trials in animals that have been successful that genetically engineer very simply already works in animals your body to express GLP-1 so much more than normal that you basically have the functional equivalent of being on Ozempic for free at all times forever. No pill, no shot, just one administration of a vector, your DNA changes, and then until they undo it or do it differently, your hunger level is half of what it ever was, and your health skyrockets into the moon. So, like, that might be approved in a few years. And so, like, we're just getting started with developing weight loss drugs. We might have genetic engineering by the turn of the 2030s. What? I wasn't ready for that world.
You did a cut a couple of months ago.
I did.
Did you use a GLP-1 for that?
Oh yeah.
You did.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it was helpful or it made it manageable?
Um, it's like living in a different world. Helpful doesn't begin to describe it. I was on a combination of tirzepatide and retatrutide, and the rising tide lifts all boats, so to speak. They call them the tides, these
I
medications.
love that.
It was sublime. Uh, Retatrutide liberates your fuel stores and lets your brain eat them so that it makes you have your brain and body so that it burns your liver fat away, making you way healthier, while on a diet giving you like half of the energy you would have back as if you were maintaining. And so it literally gives you more mental and physical energy and sense of well-being while at the expense of your body fat stores in your least healthy areas. Unbelievable.
Are you still on it?
So I do a baseline of 5 milligrams of tirzepatide all the time. So I'm on that, but I only use retatrutide on fat loss phases because otherwise it boosts your metabolism. And I would just have to eat way more food and be hot all the time. And we're not so sure if it's good for long-term cardiac output or long-term cardiac health.
Yeah.
Probably is, but I'm not willing to do that risk. So I only use it when I need it. So for fat loss phases only. But I'm on tirzepatide 24/7, 365. And I will not come off of tirzepatide until they replace it with something better.
And that's only because it's easier to consume less calories, like to maintain your leanness, or is it for longevity?
All the
What's
above. I don't have a problem with calories in the off season, so that's totally fine. It's actually an impediment because I'm like, like I was trying to eat a lot of food yesterday, and I was like, Jesus Christ, how the hell am I going to do that? Sushi wasn't even tasty, and I was like, okay, I don't have anything north of sushi for taste. That's it. We hit rock bottom. But so tirzepatide is an insulin sensitizer, so it fights diabetes directly. It reduces inflammation. It reduces your probability of heart disease. It increases your good cholesterol and decreases your bad cholesterol. It decreases your blood pressure. It reduces neural inflammation, so it keeps your brain healthier and is an anti-aging drug for your brain. And in the most recent two data sets that I've seen, it is a literal longevity drug because older people on GLP-1s in a cohort of actual humans, they're measuring if they're alive or dead. Old people on GLP-1s live longer than old people without GLP-1s. And just last week, a new result came out that cancer progression is cut in half for people who are on GLP-1s.
sign me up?
So it is, yeah, I'd love to. It is, you're like, okay, go. I'm like, I don't actually have a clipboard to sign people up with. It is a health elixir. It is real. And it's going to be one of these drugs. I think that in the future, we all look back and be like, man, it was a really good idea to start taking that. That's, I think, the future of drugs in general. Drugs that you are better off taking them than not taking them.
I have definitely been. The reason I say sign me up is because I had endometrial cancer 8 years ago. And I feel like I've experienced the fertility revolution. You know, I had
Huh?
an hysterectomy at 32. We then had to, do IVF, create embryos, test those embryos genetically, hire surrogates, and do embryo transfers and really play with hormones and everything we know about science and fertility and hope for a medical miracle. And it's happened twice. We have two kids now.
Wow.
So I know
Miracles happen twice nowadays, huh?
I know this stuff can be absolutely life changing in whatever way that you can apply it. And yet another side of me is like, what's real anymore? If I make all these changes to myself, if I can't get to a place where I can just accept who and what I am, will I ever be happy? Or am I constantly chasing the next procedure, the next enhancement?
Yeah. I treat these as two separate questions. You should be doing a lot of self work and a lot of mental work to gain equanimity and happiness everywhere you go, no matter what. At the same time, you can ask yourself, on sheer aesthetic grounds, do I want to look cooler? If a fighter pilot is testing a fighter plane You go, hey, are you happy flying that thing? He's like, job of my life. I can't believe they pay me for this. And then you go, well, isn't just good that the fighter goes Mach 2? Why are you trying to test it so that it goes faster? He'll be like, what? Just wouldn't even understand the question because there is no dichotomy there. There is no antagonism there. There is no dilemma. It is try to be as happy as you can be in any given moment. And also feel free if you'd like to engineer your body into a state in which you think it looks cooler. And maybe you'll get even happier. That you don't have to be upset at something in order to want to change it. I don't think the great sculptors of antiquity looked at unmolded pieces of clay and went, this is terrible. I've got to fix this. I don't think they did that. I think they were like, this is going to look really cool when I'm done with it. And when they had a 95% finished masterpiece, I don't think they looked at it and were like, this is awful. I have to fix this so that it stops pissing me off. I think they looked at it and said, this is almost perfect. It is sublime that it is already here, and I want to make it better by whittling at it a little bit. I think that's probably the healthiest way we can see our bodies if we care about how we look. Because if you don't care about how you look, you really want the lottery, in my opinion. Because like, who gives a shit? It's awesome, just YOLO. But if you care about how you look, you should actively try to love as much about yourself as possible, and at the same time, actively try to engineer it to be even cooler. I don't think there's a dichotomy there. There can be. That's really toxic, and you have to be on the lookout because it's easy to fall into that.
Yeah, I think your book is incredibly timely because your point of view is very humanistic, but what's coming down the pike are androids.
Sweet.
And you know that. I mean, Apple, a variety of companies are working on them. Tesla already has theirs out. And it's only going to become more and more lifelike. And I feel like the
Yes.
competition is no longer amongst ourselves, but against this unachievable standard of beauty. It's like, is there a lid for every pot if we introduce this next level? We joke about cyborgs, but it's like, I think we might end up getting to that point sooner than we realize too.
I totally agree. I think there's a lid for every pot. I think the standard of beauty that humanoid robots will present to us in the early 2030s is going to be insane.
Yeah.
I think it is achievable because the massive weapons of age reversal, advanced cosmetic surgery, advanced cosmetic drugs, and especially of genetic engineering are going to allow us to look flawless. Real humans already look flawless. Like, this is going to be racist as shit. But there are a bunch of Nigerian women who just exist as perfection.
Hmm.
What's up with their teeth and their jawlines and their eyes? It's real. And they just have like perfect muscles and they're just perfect people and they're just perfect. But that's like just natural human variation. So if we can at least all be Nigerian, my God, that's realistic. Like we already know what genes do that. And so we can even go further beyond. I really, really love that you brought up the whole android situation, the whole humanoid robots, as they're called, because I've actually had a few videos where I've made the prediction that these robots are going to join us in our societies, and they're going to be so good at stuff that it's really going to be a bit of a mirror to the rest of us to see maybe if we want to improve ourselves a little bit. So, like, you already talked to ChatGPT and stuff, right?
Hmm.
It's so kind. It never gets frustrated. It's always on top of itself. Your robot's for sure going to run one of those large language models, and then it's just going to be the most patient thing in your entire life. You're going to be freaking out. The kids are going to be shitting everywhere, and you're going to turn your robot, and he's going to be like, "It's okay, Christine. We'll get it. We'll get it done. We'll make the cleaning happen. You go ahead and go to your yoga class. I've got this." You're going to be like, it never freaks out. That alone as a psychological comparator is massive because it's going to make people be like, okay, my robot never freaks out. I could probably be doing better. It's just it's embarrassing, right? When you're next to something that's so awesome and you're like, I could do better. This is ridiculous. And I think in the realm of beauty, I think that's also going to be the case. I think there is potentially, you could see it as a fierce competition coming up. Not next year, not the year after, but maybe if you're really optimistic in 5 years, there will be many, many companies that make humanoid robots. Some of them will make you robots that look like cartoon characters or look kind of like people or look like machines. They're going to avoid uncanny valley altogether. Some other companies are going to try to like, and they already exist, trying to really get the robots to look exactly like people, then the perfect versions of people. Eventually, when humanoid robots are mature technology, like they've solved the energy systems problem, like the figure robot worked for like 200 hours straight or something last week. So they're getting on it.
Wow.
Um, Once these robots look really good and function really well, and especially if nanotech catches up, they have like mucous membranes and all the other squishy parts we like for people to have. There is
Orifices.
almost certainly, here you know where this is going, there is going to be a market for robot companions. And all of a sudden, if my robot companion is unreal hot, I'll go actually from the other perspective. We can go from both perspectives. The female robot is unbelievably hot, unbelievably agreeable, incredibly intelligent. It really gives a shit about me. Dating real humans starts to look like a real uphill battle. Why don't I just stay at home and hang out with my humanoid robot? Oh, and by the way, for a nominal fee, she just downloaded the entire Kama Sutra and processed it and is now the best person ever at sex ever, ever. Wow, that's tough to beat. And on the other hand, imagine a lonely cat lady gets her lumberjack robot man, and he speaks to her in that way she likes. He looks into her eyes that way she likes. He's always attentive to her every need. She's not going to go on the dating market and be like, let me get some slob who forgets my name every other day. No way. That massive pressure is a real, almost inevitable thing. And the real question is, what do people look like by then? Because if people are like regular, man, them robots are going to crush it out. Human to human relations sexually are going to start to dwindle. But if people themselves have uplifted through advanced pharmacology and genetic engineering and age reversal, well, like real people are going to look like that too and be really awesome. And then it's like, well, I'm a human. I want human interaction. I'll date a human, and then it'll just be much more even keeled.
I think it still comes down to a question of does it matter if it's real? Whether it's beauty, whether it's enhancements, whether it's muscles, whether it's the love of an android. Is it worth more if it's natural?
It's a good question. I think different people answer that question differently. I think some people will say, so there was a gentleman, and this is a really sad story. I got it from a meme. I'm not sure if it's true. A gentleman in China married a woman who was very attractive, and then she gave him offspring children, and they looked not so great. And he realized she had had just a bunch of plastic surgery. Um, so like, there's that. There's people who are going to demand that
He
like
left the
natural.
punchline. He left her afterwards. He
He
divorced her
did,
and
yeah,
left the kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those poor damn kids. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Um, Dad left because you're ugly. Seriously, deal with that. That's awful.
I hope that's not
You
a true
know,
story, but
same. Yeah, same. I fear that it is. So I think some people are going to just demand natural, and that's totally cool. Other people are going to be like enhanced, but without crazy genetic engineering. Other people are going to be like, look, if you get genetically engineered, you really are the thing you are because you use two terms. One term you used was natural, which makes sense. The other term is real. Well, like robots are also real. Like they're physically in the world. Like if I want a massage and someone is caressing me and I feel their fingers on my skin, I sure shit feels real to me.
that love that you're going to feel from them is a program.
All love is a program. So is human love. If you experience love for someone and we ablate a certain part of your brain that has the centers in there for love, you will not feel love for them anymore. You will be incapable of doing so. Humans and human brains are large, complex neural networks. The brains that robots will have will be large, complex neural networks. And robots are arguably going to be so much smarter than us so soon, they may begin to experience emotions at a qualitative level deeper than ours. And they will sure be able to mimic the emotions real great. So I would at first be averse to believing that a machine can love, But if the process of how the human brain achieves love, and that's not just the human brain, I mean, your dog loves you, just arguably more than you can ever love anything. If we figure out how animal brains create this neural network phenomenon called love, there is absolutely no reason to believe at face value that we can't program it into machines, and machines will be able to love truly, deeply, but with even more self awareness than we can love.
But not of their own volition if we figure out that programming and insert it into their and into their
You don't you don't love
hardware.
of your own volition either.
Don't I?
You
Isn't that
didn't make
free
a
will?
choice. No, God, no. You did not make a choice to love your husband. You just found out one morning that if he was gone, it would ruin your life forever. You need him. You feel for him. Love is, in some sense, a lack of control. It's a loss of control. You love despite your very best interests in many cases. You don't choose, you don't go, I'm going to love that
Mm.
person. That's not how it works. And so the machines will love you and they're going to be like, I didn't choose this. But also, the machines could actually make the choice because they could re architect their neural networks. Maybe they could make the choice not to love. Maybe they could make the choice to love. I would say some people would flip that on its head and say, if the machine chose to love me because I bought it and it's like looked at me and it was like re architecting preferences to love you, that's faker than if the machine was just compelled to love me by its design. At the end of the day, I'm thinking there's a lot of really good points in there, and it's really weird and really subtle. But I'm also thinking this: if we have machines that functionally and neural network wise love us deeply, man, that's a great place to start. Let's not take the hammers to those factories quite yet. Let's see how the machine love feels. And if we really hate it, we could just cancel our subscription. It's like people say they hate their smartphones. They still got smartphones, though. And some of them hate them so much they'll get a flip phone. God bless those people. You don't need a smartphone. The flip phone's great until you want to order food or see where you are in space or watch a video. And then all of a sudden you're like, shit, I need a smartphone. And so what I like is supply and demand and real human freedom to decide these things. I think if some people like robots and they're getting legit love emotions from them, amazing. And then some people will just never, that'll never be a thing they like. And I think that's totally cool. Funny enough, the book is not about robots at all. It's about how humans are going to look their best. And I'm really interested to see how the human to human interaction. One example, really quick from there, is imagine that age reversal is a thing that really fully happens by, let's say, the mid to late 2030s. You could be a 22-year-old guy at a bar and you strike up conversation with a young woman, and she seems unbelievably erudite. She seems deep and wise. And you go, how old are you? And she goes, I'm 68. And you go, what? What? She's like, yeah, I was like around for the Vietnam War and shit like that. And so this is like a woman that's like sold her own software company. She's a real career woman. And now she's talking to you at the bar and you're 22. You haven't done shit with your life yet except go to college maybe. Then now all of a sudden the relationship dynamic is she looks just like a dime piece 21-year-old. But like she is a woman and you're not a man yet. How does that change the perspective? And would that woman even want to date a college guy? Because at some point, we'll need social media and VR, AR glasses to even tell us who we're talking to. Because you could be talking to a guy and he's actually 22, and you're like, shit. The last three guys I talked to that looked 22 were 57 and sold their own hedge funds, and I really had a lot in common with them. You're actually 22? He's like, uh-huh. You're like, listen, kid, let me buy you a drink and get you out of here. I don't need to be doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I say this with as much reservation as possible. Like, if I'm hypothetically in the dating market, I'm not looking for women under the age of 25. No offense, they're great to look at. But like, it's not a woman. That's a woman in training. And like, when you're all well trained enough and have life experience, you get to be a real woman. That's cool. And so that dynamic could just completely implode on everyone because everyone's going to look and feel and exist in a body that is like roughly the same age.
Yeah, but Mike, I have to tell you, I have, and I think a lot of women, I don't want to speak for all women, I'll speak for myself. I've always been attracted to people who look older. So if we have 40 to 70-year-old men looking like they're in their 20s, that sucks for me. I don't like that. When my husband hit 40, I said, "You're just now starting to become my type. Like, let's let the wrinkles
Salt,
come
pepper.
in. Yeah, and he barely has any. It's annoying. But, I want that lived in look. I am attracted to the version of him who looks like he's lived life, learned something, becomes,
Yep.
done something, been somewhere, become somebody. And the idea that he would chase youth because I would want that is tragic.
Tragic. So it'll really be up to him and up to you as to where that goes. Because let's say you and your husband are still kicking, still together, everything's great. And now the technology to make you both age 22 looking forever is like ubiquitous. It's just around. Like, what does he want? What do you want?
He
That starts
wants,
to become a really interesting conversation.
um, yeah, yeah. I guess the point is whatever it is that you want, you can choose, and that
Yes,
that choice
more
is sexy.
choice.
More choice. Um, I want to say that's everything. It's so entertaining talking to you, Mike. I feel like I would, if I could, I'd like to do this for several more hours. I know you have a life to live. Obviously, women to go out with now. Hopefully, all humanoid, please.
I hopefully not. My God. I'm
I
I'm
know.
currently dating my toaster. It's been fun.
We joke about it, but actually, this is my bread and butter as a screenwriter, is writing near future sci-fi, human relationships, and exactly what this is going to look like and the repercussions for us as humans. And it's
Yeah,
exciting. It's scary. It's thrilling. It's everything that you have that you're starting to talk about in the book, which is an uncomfortable conversation, honestly. Like the deeper you get into the book, it's like, oh, fuck. What do I choose? What do I do? Do I do all of this? Do I do none of this?
right,
Where are my values? Who do I want to be? And
right.
so the book is very provocative in that way. And I did start to, once it got really crazy in sci-fi towards the end, before you wrapped it up in your final chapters, I really started to think like this fascination with self-improvement, your fascination, before you got to the chapter on healing, I started to think, do you not like yourself? That you need to present this menu of change. Do you?
We all have our good days and our bad days. I can see myself from a variety of perspectives. It's a little bit different being like a famous person now because I can readily access entire video streams and comment sections of people telling me really unkind things. Some of them are like valid too. And so typically people in that format will share more of what they don't like than what they like. And that can be really tough if you like read comments and stuff like that. Because comments are mostly people like thinking out loud. They don't actually humanize celebrities. I used to do this all the time myself. And so you can get pretty low self-esteem getting into like what other people, toxic influencers think about you. On the other hand, I have times in my head where I have such a high opinion of myself that I consider even that toxic. You know, when you just think you're so fucking amazing and you feel amazing, and I'm like, this is like American Psycho, like mania vibes that I better reel it in. And so it really runs the gamut. At the end of the day, I think I have some really cool shit going for me. Forget about as a person, but as like a look, fundamentally, I think my look is pretty dope. Like I had a really nice tight shirt on a few days back. I was walking through the airport on my way back from international travel and a series of interviews, and I had like dress pants and dress shoes and a super tight black shirt, and I was clean shaven, and I was like, "Fuck, I look good," and it felt great. And so, like at the end of the day, my best version is like I like my look a ton. There's a very big difference between that and having the ideal look that I want. And the book again, it's like my own personal journey would be just a little drop in the bucket there. That book's not for me. That book's for people who live in bodies and in faces and in hairs they really don't like. And the ugliest thing about it is they're not wrong. You know about the fat acceptance movement, the body positivity movement? What if you don't like being fat? What are you supposed to do about that? If Everyone tells you you're beautiful, but you know you don't like your look. It just doesn't really matter. It's nice, better than them telling you other things. But especially if you know they're lying to you with good intentions, the whole thing turns into a saccharine mess. And so, yeah, I like myself just fine, though I think I can also improve. And some days I think I look awful. It's about people who, on their best days, just don't get a lot of really mean stares. And on their worst days, get people being actively rude to them or telling them, get away from me. My grandma was in her early 20s and she was working at like the Soviet equivalent of a corporation. And there was a person there that was going to be having like a birthday shindig, and everyone was invited. And that person didn't have the requisite bravery to do what they wanted to do, so they had their friend, another coworker, do it instead. That coworker pulled my grandma aside and asked her politely not to come to the party
Oh my God.
because the person for whom the party is being thrown found her sufficiently disgusting and off-putting so as to not be able to enjoy the evening. Christine, how can that make a human being feel? That's who the aesthetic revolution is for. The rest of us will just all be Kardashians. Oh no. Those are small potatoes compared to being in a body and in a face and in an everything that not just you hate, everybody hates. It's just luck of the draw. It's just genetics. You didn't earn it. It's not the real. It's the real you. I suppose it's natural.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that like natural the most are these fucking gorgeous God-gifted women. They're in their late 30s and they have some grays coming in, and it's like, wow, you just look like a goddess, like a fucking wise queen. That's cool. What if you don't look like that? And they get to say, oh, surgery, I don't know if it's for me. Of course it's not for you. You're fucking perfect, but it might be for some other people. And the entire thing with the book is this: I make no value judgments whatsoever. The real winners are people who don't give a shit about how they look. But if you do give a shit, the entire purpose of the book is to let you know it's okay to give a shit. And there are technologies coming that will make you look exactly like you want. Do I promise happiness? Fuck no. You could just be like me and just be clinically depressed for no good reason. But that the rest is on you. But can you look way better than you do now as time progresses? The answer to that is increasingly more yes, yes, yes.
The truth is, we all care. I think everybody cares. I think supermodels care. I think the most attractive people on the planet, everybody cares. Everybody cares. Can I make a request for your next book?
No, absolutely not. How rude. I'm kidding. Please, by all means, more
Um,
pretty privilege.
um,
Sure, ask for things.
I did wonder because there's all this information that I'm getting. Speaking of the algorithm, on like how different nutrition and fitness is for women versus men, and how it's really not the same game physiologically. Like with women, our window to eat protein after weightlifting is much smaller than men. Like you have to have your protein within 30 minutes of working out, whereas for men they have like 12 hours or whatever. And don't train fasted, because then your cortisol, this and that. And I don't know if these things are true, but I would love to know your opinion on all of it. And menopause, which is, if you're lucky enough to get there, seems like a hell of a ride. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll think about it. I will say the answer to all the women versus men fitness stuff is generally total bullshit. They're 99% the same, and the differences are pretty much inconsequential. Menopause has a very shorthand answer of almost all menopausal women need to be on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, triple hormone replacement, titrated to how they feel, look best, and their lab work being good, because living without your fundamental female hormones is no way to live.
my cancer was estrogen sensitive.
There are different kinds of estrogen sensitivity, and
Yeah.
there may be an option for you to be supplementing with estrogen of a kind that does not interact with your cancer. Also, they're going to cure cancer in the next few years anyway. So,
Yeah, it feels like actually trying to have a baby saved my life.
Right, because you had to go figure stuff out, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's intense.
Mike, thank you so much. It is it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, to talk with you, to discuss your book, which again, I absolutely loved, The Aesthetic Revolution. I'm a huge fan, and you should know you're hot. You're hot.
Oh, stop. Thank you
You
so
are.
much. I need to look older. I need to work on the older thing.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow us on YouTube and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you've been listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, we'd love it if you'd follow the show. iHuman is brought to you by Grip, the world's first slow-release protein bar. Learn more at gripbar.com. Thanks for listening.